twilight lies craving whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we once were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, just that star, thankful friend, gateway for the grand land of the brave, and the home of the brave. Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, just that star, spangled banner, gateway for the land of the brave, and the
The trail of the 3rd Army and the 19th Tactical Air Command of the 8th Air Force is marked by more than 40,000 white crosses, 40,000 dead Americans.
We young soldiers called to dedicate our lives in the name of God and country. Do what's just, boys. Go do what's right. A hot band of brothers waiting on our chance to add one more page unto the victory dance. Here am I, Lord, send me, send me. Victory lies in the spirit of the lives of the men who died for me.
Then I heard the voice of the Lord say, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here am I. Send me.
This is Michael Broderick, Marine Corps veteran, actor, and Gallant Few board member. You are listening to the New American Veteran on Vets on Media. Now here's Carl Monger.
Hey, good afternoon. Today is September 23rd, 2014. Welcome to the New American Veteran, TNAV is a broadcast of Gallant Few Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is to prevent veteran isolation by connecting new veterans with hometown veteran mentors, thereby facilitating a peaceful and successful life after the military. We want them to move from military service to a civilian life filled with purpose and hope. Our goal is to connect every new veteran with a hometown veteran mentor. And we do this by creating and supporting a nationwide network of successfully transitioned veterans that engage locally with new veterans with the same military background now going through their own transition. We believe this will prevent veteran unemployment, homelessness, and suicide. And I'm going to play a real quick PSA here. I'll be right back with you.
They teach you.
Except it's not going to play like that, so let me redo this guy a second. While I'm thinking about that, Sergeant Major, help me out. Sergeant Major's not in the helpful mode here. Yeah, I love it when it works like this. Here we go.
Ranger buddies. This is Ranger LG, Simple Pilgrim, and I just want to say hi to all the Rangers out there, and you know I'm thinking of you, praying for you, working out every day, and I do that every day anyway. So again, very proud of you, extremely proud of you, and wherever you are, Rangers, lead the way.
If you've ever had a chance to talk to Sergeant Major Leon Guerrero, you know exactly how he is. The guy looks like he hasn't aged a day. He was the Command Sergeant Major of the 75th Ranger Regiment when they jumped into Panama over 20 years ago. So phenomenal guy who has decided his post-military career is going to be in helping young kids discover their meaning in life. So he is now a guidance counselor for a high school in the Tacoma area. And what a great job it is for him to be able to do that. I want to remind everybody, Run Ranger Run is coming. You can go to runrangerrun.com for more information about that. But right now, Spike TV and CrowdRise and another organization have teamed to help about 8 veteran serving organizations kick off the season by encouraging them to get out, be active. It's called the Veteran Outdoor Wellness Challenge. And if you go to crowdrise.com/VOW, like you take a vow, crowdrise.com/vow challenge, you're going to find 8 nonprofits there. We would hope that you would pick Gallant Few. I think we're in about 5th place now of the 8, but you know, we tend to come up towards the end. We're taking our time. We don't want to make everybody think we're out in the lead right off the bat. But there are a couple organizations there that are doing really well that I've never heard of before, and that's one of the goals of the CrowdRise Vow Challenge, is to give some of these nonprofits that are not as well known a little bit more visibility. Now we're working towards using this as a bit of a springboard to help us jump into Run Ranger Run, which of course the event doesn't happen until February. But when October comes around, we're starting to put together our teams. We're already doing some internal competitions among folks that have signed up for it. We've got some cool things to give away. Last year we gave away a trip to Legoland, and it's something that, number one for Gallant Few, the number one value of that is it spreads awareness so that more and more people understand what it is that Gallant Few does to address these veteran issues. And then the second part of that, and I can't understate this enough, is it's a funding source for Gallant Few. Last year we raised $100,000 and we only had a little over 1,000 people that actually participated. And we were right around $70 on average per participant. Hey, if we can make that 17,000 people that participate instead of 1,700 people that participate, then you're talking about a significant increase in funding. Why do we need the funding? Because the veteran issues that I see coming at this organization, coming at our country every day, are tremendous in scope. They have built over the last 12 years of war. There have been, on top of that, things that happened even before 9/11. We're working with veterans that have left active duty 20 years ago, and they never had the opportunity to truly achieve a successful transition, and we're still working through that right now. Bottom line is, Gallant Few right now has 3 paid staff members, 2 of which are contract, and we're getting ready to move to another full-timer, and we really could employ another 3 or 4 full-time people. So has our mission as more and more individuals out there understand what our mission is, more and more individuals out there are coming to us asking for help, and we don't want to turn any of these folks away. Just this morning, I got a phone call from a ranger buddy of a ranger that has been on our radar for the last year, and the guy is through a number of things that have gone on in his life. He is in a bad situation right now, and we're trying to surround him with all the resources that will help correct this situation. And he recognizes, I believe now finally, that he needs to stop some of these activities that have gotten him into trouble. So yeah, when I think about this, when I think about the situation that this particular individual is going through, and it's hard for me to tell you exactly what it is, because I'm not going to tell you enough about it so that anybody can figure out who it is. But when this individual left active duty, it was under honorable circumstances, but because he had an injury, he was removed from his unit, his operational unit that he had grown up with for the last, I believe, 5 or 6 years, and he was moved over into the ash and trash group, where all the folks that are being processed out for whatever reason, they misbehaved, they got injured, whatever it is, and through no fault of his own, he got put into this organization, and then down the road was, by a paper shuffling bureaucrat, was encouraged to leave the Army without a medical retirement. And it's taken several years now for this veteran to get a VA disability rating at all. And when you go a couple of years with no income, and the physical circumstances and the mental circumstances and the emotional circumstances that you're fighting are so great, it's a wonder the kid is still alive today. And he is alive because there are other fellow veterans that love and respect him and are working tirelessly to make sure that he gets the help and the resources and the encouragement that he needs. I can think about it, I can get angry, and I can get a little emotionally overwhelmed, because I see this type of thing almost on a weekly basis, and it's widespread. It's across the military and all branches of the service. So enough for my plea for support. Look for Run Ranger Run, runrangerrun.com. Get in there and help us spread the word. That. Now, before that, I'm going to play this video because I want you guys to watch it, and hopefully this real player cloud format that I've gone to is going to cooperate here. Give me just a second.
Hi, this is Matt Eversman. You're listening to Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran, on Vets on Media.
All right, now let me see if we will cooperate as we play this piece here. Let's see.
They teach you a lot in the service. They teach you how to stand straight and fire your rifle. They teach you respect and survival. They teach you how to take a life and how to give your own. What they don't teach you is what happens when you come home. There are over 2 million people in the U.S. Armed Forces. For some, coming home is the hardest part. As a veteran, you are not alone. Reach out, call a Valor Buddy, and take the Spartan Pledge today. For more information, visit us on the web at descendantsofsparta.com.
All right, I figured out a couple of those technical difficulties, so I got a twofer in there. I want to welcome now to the show, and I'm throwing him off a little bit because I told him I was going to play a different piece, but I had to call an audible there on the court. So Alex Archawski, welcome to Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran.
How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm going to turn your microphone down just a little bit, and let me see if I can make it show your shining face there. There you go. I got you. Alex is here with Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, which is a nonprofit organization that he founded. And Alex, you're a search and rescue swimmer, OEF veteran. Appreciate your service. And there's
Thank you.
Something about a number of folks that are in and around the special operations community that they have kind of taken a lead on making things happen with veteran transition. You're one of those guys.
I appreciate it. You know, the motto as a search and rescue swimmer is so others may live. So, you know, sometimes you're blessed in a way where you can contribute back after your service. And, you know, I'll share a little bit of my story of how I transitioned twice out of the service.
Yeah, before you do that, first, what the first time that you were in the military, what did you do? Navy.
Well, just like any other Navy personnel, you pick a rate, what you want to get into. So for me, I was kind of involving electronic warfare and intel. Then I wanted to do search and rescue. I was stationed overseas for 4 years. And then just wanted to get out. You know, I had 3.5 years of college. I was a little bit of a hybrid person where I went to college for 3.5 years, ran out of financial aid, thought I was going to OCS, decided to ride it out, enjoyed rescue swimmer on the ship, and then got out of active duty, looked for a job, stayed in the reserves, drove boats on the weekends down in Annapolis with inshore boat unit, and then next thing you know, after 9/11, 2 months later, they needed our unit to go back to the Middle East.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you had to go through transition twice just because you were untrained the first time and you got to redo.
That's true. So it's basically saying that I didn't get it right the first time. But you know, it's going through the process twice makes you aware a lot of how veterans are being serviced, and more importantly, what employers do know and what they don't know.
Right. Which you have taken to apply now in the Philadelphia area. Is that where? Are you from there originally, or is that an area that you had targeted after the military you want to live in? I
am originally from here. I'm from just outside the Philadelphia area, a couple of minutes outside. So we service basically what's the model of Greater Philadelphia is southeastern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and Delaware. Philadelphia borders New Jersey, so really it's just a big circle. If you think about it, for population, the veterans don't live in a center city environment. They live in the suburbs, but they commute to the Philadelphia big companies.
Sure, and I've also, in my experience, maybe you can verify whether this is happening in your neck of the woods or not, veterans seem to want to go home. They want to go where it's comfortable, up where they know people, they have family and friends. They're not necessarily going to some place that's completely unknown to them.
They do. They typically come home. You know, the majority of the veterans, this is what employers don't realize, that the majority of the veterans that come home are going back to college. So they're not even aware of what they're targeting. They're thinking of they listen to the news, and what they do is they are thinking it's an Iraq or an Afghanistan veteran coming right out of deployment, coming home out of service, when in reality it's a 25, 26-year-old young veteran who's graduating college. And I've had talks with major companies where they need to understand the new environment of veterans is shifting from blue collar to white collar. So these technicians and everything else they used to hire in the 80s and 70s and 90s have shifted because these are first generation people that are now getting their college degree.
You see that there is still, regardless of type of veteran it is, there's still a kind of a stereotype towards security or police work or that kind of thing on the part of the employer. Does the employer think, oh, I got an Army veteran here, let's see if we need anybody in our security department?
It still happens that way. So what we do is you kind of have to kind of break down the employer just like you break down the veteran of understanding what is their knowledge base. So employers really only know what they hear, and unfortunately, we do it as a general population. We just kind of hear it from the news, see what's the norm, and really hire the norm. And what we're doing is really challenging companies more and more now to hire differently. So we just had a program recently with some of the top companies in this area and revolving around hiring senior military enlisted and officers. And the reason why is all the jobs, if anybody analyzed all the jobs across the United States, the majority are all entry level and below. So when you're talking about security and all them, that is then in that category.
I see you talking about, I'm not getting any audio from you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. There's a little bit of a delay coming through the line. You mentioned earlier your cable provider that you'd had some issues with. AT&T and I have a on-again, off-again love affair.
Absolutely. In the digital world we live in, we try to communicate the best way possible, but sometimes our biggest asset's our biggest liability.
That's exactly right. Okay, so we were talking earlier today about what you have going on in the Philadelphia area. You want to talk a little bit about the role that you've played in veterans and how to successfully make that transition?
Sure. So what the model is basically transitioning twice out of the service. I just didn't want to duplicate what was existing out there. There's a lot of services for veterans, and there was already services for employers. But what I realized was the number one obstacle for veterans was never being tackled. And what that is career objective. So what happens is the bases, it's no fault of their own. They have to give it a resume to a transitioning service member. So that resume will really talk about the past. And then the terminology of translating your skills is still a challenge, but I think they have to shift that model now because transitioning service members don't know different industries, they don't know different trades, they don't know sales, they don't know marketing, they don't know underwriting, real estate. So what we're doing is we're preventing veterans from job searching for any job because these employers constantly tell us, I'm not hiring somebody if it's not related to my job. They have a hard time understanding how it translates to their jobs. So what we're doing is we're helping these veterans define their career. And we have them shadow different trades with veterans in different companies. So we have about 1,500 people in our network in different industries so they can understand, okay, this is what I want to do in finance. This is what I want to do in sales. This is what I want to do in marketing. And then we construct and execute a job search strategy and networking plan for them, and then align them with different networking contacts in this area.
So you're saying that it not necessarily is the perfect resume that's going to get you that job. It is somehow taking the background, the experiences that you have, and molding that to the employer, and then somehow convincing them that those things will help that employer? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Absolutely. So that is really the end part. The end part is, I think you and I briefly touched on when we connected, is what prevents a veteran from job searching effectively. And there's a lot of things that the military teaches us that could prevent us from job searching effectively. One of them is about discipline and being your own CEO in your job search. So in the military, we were all given orders. Be at the helo at 9, be chow at 12, be at the firing range at 3. So when we get out of the military, it's in our DNA to wait for the orders. So what happens is that we have no process. We don't know the structure environment. We've never done it. So that's what we help them up with. We help them align them and really accelerate the process. But the education is just part one. The connection is the key ingredient that's been missing over the years of introducing them to different networking contacts and events.
question for you about that. You're talking about a veteran not needing to work within some constraints, because I want to hear your opinion on this side of it, because just about every veteran that I know, well, let me take that back. Every person that I knew on active duty, they weren't told, okay, you're going to go do this, do that, do that, do that. They were told, here's the end state that I want it to be at. There's your resources. Go out and figure out how to make it happen. So there's a tremendous amount of initiative and thinking, creative thinking that goes into that, but it's wrapped around a constraint that is the military. So you know the rules, you know the regulations, you know the rank structure, you know where the supply room is, and you know the process.
Exactly.
But, and I'm trying to figure this out too, because especially in the special operations world, you have to be very nimble-minded. You have to be very quick on your feet to come up with a solution, or you're gonna be dead, or you're gonna just be absolutely run over by the pack. But then you take them out of the military environment and put them in the civilian world, where you would think that in an unconstrained world, their creativity would go crazy. And what happens is they go like, oh, I can't get out of this little tiny box, and then they're dead in the water.
Right. And it's interesting because, like you said, when you're in an environment of you know where the resources are, when you're in an environment of you have your battle buddies, when it's a shock to the system that some people can get over fairly quickly and some have a long time needing to get over, is when you don't have your rank, insignia, and your identity, and when somebody comes up to you and says, hi, I'm Alex, who are you? It takes a long time for people to identify who they are. And when they don't know who they are, what happens to these veterans is they hole up in the house. And they said, I am not going out and being in front of somebody I don't know. And so here's another challenge. So the trust issue is huge when people get out of the service. Who am I going to trust? I've already gone through extended deployment, turned down for leave, so we're born skeptics. So what happens is, how do you job search as born skeptics? And I can go on the list, and I can go on the list on and on limiting risk, right? As you guys in Rangers know, you limit risk. You plan to limit risk. So I dealt with a guy that was Special Forces where he said, I am not going to that networking event because, one, I don't know what I want to do. Two, I don't know the people there. And three, how am I supposed to identify myself? So what happens is...
Prime example of that, that's a Special Forces guy that he should be, I mean, he's been school trained to put himself into exactly those kind of situations and meet people that don't know who he is, you know, that he's unaccustomed to, but he still has that problem. I think that's absolutely fascinating, and it's real.
It's not everybody.
No, yeah, it doesn't happen every single time, but it happens enough that I would say it's more than 50-50. There's more that have that problem than don't have that problem.
It does, because you know what happens is that when you're in a protected environment of the base, your protected environment of your social infrastructure, you're not being told that you're not worth anything. So when they get their first rejection, when nobody responds to their job application, when they don't go through those experiences, those are things that you're trained when you get out of the military in TAP class. So what happens is, if we capture them early and teach them first what to expect during the job search, if you think about it, everybody went to the firing range before going to battle. All we do is get them to go to the firing range before they go to the battle, arm themselves properly, and really conquer that hill. And that's why we see the Marines being really the best at job searching. They take the emotions behind it, and they remove the emotions behind the whole job process, and they really go after it without feeling negative of self-worth, of being rejected for the job. And the list could go on. I could tell you, being humble, especially for a lot of people that have done some fantastic thing in the military, will work totally against you once you realize the importance of networking. So it's amazing.
The other thing that's interesting on the Marine Corps folks, and I'm seeing this on the Gallant Few side, we brought on in February, we brought on Nick Kumalatzos, who's a MARSOC veteran, Marine Special Operations, and he left active duty, I believe, as an E6. and he has grasped onto the one-on-one mentoring and the service-disabled veteran-owned business aspect and business networking aspect of this, and it is spreading like wildfire through the Marine Corps community. And just over the last, I'd say maybe 45 days, we've had darn near 100 Marines that have come and signed up, some seeking help, some offering to give help. That network is expanding faster than any other of the network populations that we have within Gallup Few, even the Ranger population. And that's interesting because the stereotypical Marine is not very smart, put your head down, keep beating it against the wall until either your brain caves in or the wall caves in. And that's not what I'm seeing when I talk to these Marines and I see the way that they grasp and they're moving on this. The other thing, and I'll toss it back over to you, is when you're on active duty, although you are encouraged to suck it up and figure it out and don't ask for help, you always have a battle buddy, or you always have a ranger buddy, or you always have a swim buddy that is there to take up the slack for you when you're tired and you got to rest. They're watching, they're cleaning their weapon while you're on watch. So you've got each other's back. And then when you leave active duty, you don't have that other person to be your buddy, and you couple that with I got to suck it up. I got to figure this out on my own because I can't show weakness. It can easily become a recipe for disaster.
It definitely can. And when people haven't experienced mentoring, there's a lot of hesitation, right? They don't know who the person is. What's the expectations? I don't want to let my guard down. So if you think about this, a lot of it is about letting your guard down. And a lot of the best leaders are the ones that look for information and ask for information. And they're the ones that seek people that are more knowledgeable than them. And I think that's a learning curve with a lot of people. Now, on the flip side, we challenge the select few that are battle buddies to be involved, because not everybody's good help. And I've been through a lot of veterans where they want to help. And when we show them the best way to help and how to help, and it's not just, if anybody's listening out there about the assisting for helping, don't ever ask, can I review your resume? That is the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do is saying, I'm going to introduce you to a variety of different people. I'm going to bring you to events. I'm going to bring you to programs. I'm going to make sure your contact list is huge. And the reason why that is statistically 70% of the jobs are done by networking. So we tell veterans, you can't quit smoking online. You can't lose weight online. So you're not going to fix your job search online.
Yeah, it's like how do you get better? How do you do more push-ups on a PT test? Well, you do that by doing push-ups. It's uncomfortable. You don't like doing them, but you do it. And the same thing goes with networking. And I have been firmly believe exactly that there is no silver bullet resume. Matter of fact, the perfect resume doesn't exist. And there are, for every job that a veteran applies for, there's probably 100 other people that are just as or more qualified and probably have a better resume than that veteran does. So it is imperative to work that network, especially the veteran network that's on the inside of those corporations, because every time that I go to a Chamber of Commerce event or a Rotary Club meeting, I try and bring along a veteran with me so that that veteran can meet other professional folks that are there in that professional social gathering. And those organizations are the last place that a new veteran that's coming back to the community is going to go, because number one, you don't know about them, you don't know how to join them, it's all foreign stuff to you. That's why a veteran's got to reach out, they got to grab that new veteran, bring them back and say, hey buddy, you're going to go with me to this Chamber of Commerce lunch next Wednesday, and we're going to meet 10 people, you're going to get 10 cards if you do not know. And when you start doing that, now you start opening up doors to those opportunities, especially if that veteran mentor is somebody that is respected in the community, has previously transitioned successfully like we talk about. When I give a recommendation for a business associate that I know to meet somebody, they're going to look at that person, maybe, I would hope, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but I would hope that they would look at this person as maybe a better catch than they would just find walking in off the street and applying for a job.
I totally agree. I think the best way to do it is really putting them in an environment of succeeding. So, they go to the firing range. For every military branch has gone to the firing range. And when you do so, there's somebody behind you adjusting your scope. So what happens is that they have to be willing to fire a bullet downrange. They do. So when they go to the networking event, they have, what the motto is for us is, if you haven't succeeded to fail, you haven't succeeded. So what that means is, not everybody's a good contact. There's 20% success in networking, 20%. So what we say is, if they don't mentally prepare themselves, saying everybody you're going to meet is not going to be the right contact for you. Because if they go to the chamber events, it doesn't mean everybody they're going to meet is going to be the right contacts. If they have to go to specific industry-related association and networking events to really find the great contacts. But those are things they don't train you in the military. So when you go to these networking events, you have to understand, what are my expectations? What should be my after-action report, and what are my responsibilities afterwards? And we guide them along, and we assign them a homework. That's the whole premise. They have to come back with showing progress, and also making sure that they keep up with their battle buddies if they're assigned them.
You also you do some education among employers as well. You want to talk a little bit about your focus on that?
Sure. So in addition to one-on-one and a lot of the things we do programs like Take a Vet to Work Day. So we take vets to different companies around this area so they can shout out different trades. We've done that as well. We do individualized programs with them. We've done student veteran interviewing and networking, kind of a reverse job fair, and the employers loved it. So we kind of are throwing it a little bit differently with more impact. So for the employers, we really have a model for the employers called Learn, Engage, and Hire. And what we need to do is really make sure that where they are in the process of hiring. So these employers want to hire veterans, but each one has different challenges. It's either they don't have the internal infrastructure for reviewing individual resumes, they don't know the DNA of a veteran, so we take them to the base. We do take an employer to base day. And sometimes we do roundtables of how to hire veterans on soft skills, wounded warriors, senior military leaders. So what we do, though, is we create a peer-to-peer network of employers. What I notice is all these employers are sitting in silos, and they're not sharing best practices with one another. So what we do is we bring them together to share best practices. How are you doing career fairs, X company? How is your best success? How are you using your veteran affinity group company? Our job is to bring the community together to make sure they answer their own questions. However, it's really aligning the volume of veterans that they're going to be hiring, and then we're going to measure that going forward.
Are you seeing pretty well, are you well received among a large number of employers out there? Do you have to fight to get your way into them? And what does the local community leadership, whether it's county commissioners, city council, are they participating in this? And do you have an information flow going back and forth?
Great question. So we formed our tagline a long time ago called Our Tools, Your Mission. And we did it both for veterans and we did it both for employers. So we never call on a veteran and we never call on an employer. It's about 100% referral of, we need to know, are they in the process, do they want to create or implement a veteran hiring process? It's easier for us. We don't want to sell it. Our job is not to sell it. So they accept it, these big companies, and then they ask us, what are the best ways to do X and Y? And then we address them. We give them all the tools they need for their success. Some of them need outreach strategy. It's really it. How do I reach locally? That's why localizing it really works. So when the chambers ask, what can we do? We tell them exactly what we need from them about the opportunity to talk to the businesses, and the reverse side to let the veterans in as well. And then the legislators, congressmen, you name them, they're all on board because they're understanding our overall mission is to drive more volume for this region of veteran employment. So they're totally on board with that. And then also, Philadelphia has an additional tax break for hiring veterans. So there's 2 of them for any companies that are in Philadelphia.
So how long have you been doing this, and what was it that made you start this initiative? Because when I go and I look at on your bio some of the initiatives that you have, I'll run through them real quick. Take a Vet to Work Day, Veteran Open House, Veteran Internship Initiative, Speed Networking for Student Veterans, Veteran Entrepreneurship Shark Tank, How to Hire a Veterans Roundtable, Take an Employer to Base Day. I mean, that kind of stuff, that takes a long time to develop and put it in place. So I'm interested in how long that's taken. And then Follow-up question to that. Do you have other communities? Do you feel like you could go to a community like Dallas and have a kind of a menu system, or let's call it a franchise? So this is how you
Sure.
talk about.
So it's a great question. So, you know, what happens is I had a mentor like everybody else. And when somebody tells you how to drive a volunteer-driven organization, is you create basically the army of committees. So we have about 7 to 10 different committees that are active. So for right now, for instance, we have a committee of CEO veterans that is running our Shark Tank. So their job is really to align everything that we need to do with that program. My job is, of course, to call the sponsors, and then to get the applicants. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then on the flip side, there's other committees for different types of programs we do. So my job is to find the right individuals that always say, how can I help? And then to align them with our mission and to execute. And veterans are the best at continuing to serve. So I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by people that believe in our mission. And coincidentally, yes, you know, there are people that reach out from different states. Just got reached out to by in the State Department, the governor's office, about expanding the services. It truly is. You got to realize that the one thing about the Philadelphia region, we're very large, this region. Everybody knows each other. We know each other from the high schools all the way to the beaches we go in New Jersey. So we have a brotherhood of the community already. So it's fairly easy to make that connections really quickly, and it's like a small, big town. It really is. So we have to look at the model of the different cities, right? Is it a transitional city? Or is this city very strong where there's generations of people within those cities? So the answer is definitely yes. It is about how is the buy-in on the public-private side. And it's all about collaboration. We collaborate with the VA. We collaborate with the VA. I mean the United States Navy. We collaborate with the Department of Labor. We collaborate with other veteran service organizations. We've had programs where we do programs with the Marine Corps Law Enforcement or the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation, and also the homeless veterans. I'll give you the perfect example of how we should be helping. We did a program for homeless veterans, right? It's all vets. So we're not a 9/11. When companies say, what is a transitioning veteran? I said, all of them in life.
Thank you for that, because there's too many organizations out there that say, oh, you're pre-9/11. I'm sorry, we only help post-9/11.
Well, I tell you what, when we talk about what is a transitioning veteran, I always say until we die, we're always transitioning. So at the end of the day, if it's between jobs or whatnot, we'll still have each other's back. So for homeless veterans, it's important for us for helping them for their jobs. Incarcerated vets too, because that's employment. So what we do is we create a program where we hire homeless veterans and pay them to serve our pancake breakfast. Because what we're doing is we're building up their skills. We teach them networking. We teach them the skills of serving, greeting, cooking, whatever it is that they used to do, whatever they want to do. And then we tell them to execute it for our day, and we pay them. It's a line item on their resume. So we had 2 veterans, homeless veterans, that came to us afterwards, and they said, I haven't felt this way in over 20 years. And I told them, I said, you know what? Because nobody's empowering you to believe in yourself. So for the homeless and incarcerated veterans, they can't job search unless they get their confidence back. They've gone through things that most of us will never imagine. So it's not about giving them jobs. It's about empowering them with their confidence, and the job search will come naturally to them.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Hey, we're starting to run a little bit short on time.
Sure.
A couple of events coming up. I want to make sure that you get a chance to get the word out, the GIs of Comedy and Veteran Shark Tank. You want to talk about those real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So GIs of Comedy really came about through a good friend, Colonel Sutherland, down at Eastern SEALs, made an introduction. A great guy. He made the introduction for the GIs of Comedy last year. For us, it was a perfect opportunity to bring in a social event here, but we're giving 100% of our ticket sales to these veteran comedian entrepreneurs. It helps us with our mission, and it also inspires others to do more, and our community is more aware of the success of veterans. So that's the GIs of Comedy on October 4th. The event can be found on Eventbrite if anybody's interested. We're almost sold out. The Temple University Student Veterans. Say again?
I'll publish the link so that everybody...
All right, I appreciate it. And the Shark Tank is our second veteran entrepreneurship Shark Tank. So it's the same thing, is we want to financially reward a monetary prize to any veteran that has the best business idea. Now remember, we do serve the Reserve and the Guard. I made a promise to the Tag General of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, that we would always service the Guard, the Reservists, and the veterans as well. So anybody's open to pitching their business idea, and we're going to give a huge monetary prize. They got to pitch it in front of all these sharks, and it's great. It's phenomenal. We got covered on great publicity last time we did it, and hopefully people will apply and kickstart their career.
That's a great deal. Alex, I appreciate you being on the show today. You're motivating me even more now, making me feel like I'm a slacker over here because I haven't got Dallas under control yet. But I may be reaching out to you for some advice and help. I swear, I've got so many ideas right now that are running through my head. Let's see.
Anytime. I think what you do is phenomenal. I think getting the message out is the most important thing. I think aligning our veterans in the right ways to help is where we really need to work on, because there's a lot of them that want to help in different ways, but there's really big strategic ways for our veterans to help. And it's opening up more doors, and we have to give them their assignments even though they're not used to doing them. And that's the way that we're going to find more impact.
You're awesome, Alex. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for, it's a pleasure to listen to you all the time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. When you get at the comedy show and the Shark Tank, if you have clips or anything that after that's done, if you want me to plug them in, I promise I'll work a little more on my technical skills so I'll be able to play them a little easier. But whatever I can do to help you in your mission out there, I want to be able to do that as well.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks, Alex. All right, now I'm going to take a chance and see if I can't play another couple of items here. So this is one that has been pretty exciting to me. Coming down the wire here is the release of the movie Korngal. And if I have successfully gotten this lined up, I'm going to be able to go and play it for you to watch. So give me just a second here, because this is almost ready to cooperate with.
Korngal was a major highway for Taliban and enemy activity.
See the dude running, and then you see him blowing into pieces.
We forced the boys to go out continuously. You'd hear the enemy just going crazy trying to figure out where we were.
We're definitely bait.
Yeah, it's frightening. Until you hear the snap of a bullet go by your head, there's nothing else like it.
I'm on fire!
And you see the guys on edge, like, when's the next round?
I think a lot of us kind of miss that adrenaline.
You do terrible things, then you have to live with them afterwards.
It messes with your head in every way.
I'm not doing this for recognition from my country. I'm not doing this so that somebody goes, wow. Except for those guys to my left and my right. That's what it's about. Those guys are what it's about.
Hi, this is Matt Eversman. You're listening to Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran, on Vets on Media.
I was looking to see there, I've got another little clip that I want to play that's for the current poster project. We've got an really interesting program that's going on here. Let me see if that'll play. Here we go.
this is Matthew Marsden, supporting returning veterans with the Gallant Few Poster Project. And this is actually the Ranger Tab t-shirt that we were given when we were training at Fort Benning, Georgia, just before we went off to shoot Black Hawk Down. And I'm calling my friend Bill Fickner out to come and join the challenge and sign the poster. So, over to you, Fick.
Yeah, so poster project is, okay, come on, give me my screen back. There we go. Poster project is number 2. The first one Michael Broderick did last year with Band of Brothers poster. Phenomenal event. It was a lot of fun, and it created a historical item that people are going to be, somebody's going to be proud to own that thing for the next 1,000 years. And October, here we're coming up on the, I believe, 22nd anniversary of the events of Black Hawk Down, Task Force Ranger, and we're going to try and focus, we are going to focus only on veterans from Task Force Ranger during October that are going to pass that poster around and get signatures on it. So watch, we'll produce some clips and we'll show you where it's going during the month of October. I have one more here that I got a chance to pull this thing up. This is Boone Cutler talking about the Spartan Pledge.
This is Boone Cutler, author, warfighter, and host of Tipping Point. I want to talk to you for a minute, just 1 minute, and take the time to listen to what I'm saying. The American warfighter today commits suicide at a rate of 18 per day. That's 1 every 80 minutes. By the time you finish eating dinner this evening, a warfighter will have committed suicide. This is a tragedy. We're losing the greatest of this generation every day at an alarming rate. Currently on active duty, a warfighter commits suicide 1 every 36 hours. But there are ways to help, and you should help. You should help right now by contacting gallantview.org and find out how you can contribute and help stop, even eliminate, the warfighter suicide rate. This is a tragedy, and you can help right now by contacting gallantview.org. Do it now. Make it happen. All the way.
All right, now you see that was supposed to be Boone, actually the video of Boone talking about the Spartan Pledge. So I'm going to do one more pass through my files here to see, because it's an incredibly important message that has been very well received and has actually saved some lives. And I can tell I'm going to have to go back and put myself through school so that I can make sure and do all this. I've got the actual video part somewhere buried in my computer. I actually did a test run before the show started. It's still not coming up. So I'm going to try one file. If it doesn't open in that player, here we go. I am going to be able to watch it. Here you go. Not getting any sound with that. Well, hey, I'm batting 1,000 today. I appreciate you staying with me, watch me make a fool of myself here at the end. Alex, thanks for being on the show. All you Gallant Few volunteers out there that are doing such great and important work for us, thank you very much. I do want to ask you to keep Heidi and her husband Philip, who are staff members with Gallant Few, keep them in your prayers, because Philip is a medically retired Army veteran that full things keep popping back up that prove to be not so little things. So he has a fight almost every single day, and this week it's something a little different that's popped up on him. So prayers for them and their family. They've got a big family. So, all right. I'm sorry I couldn't play that Spartan Pledge for you. That is really kind of annoying for me that didn't work. You know, I might be able to actually play the video here. Let's give that one more try before we close out. You know, it's the craziest thing, because I can see his face and he's talking. I'll prove to you that this is happening, but I am not hearing him actually make sound, which is always a problem when you can't hear somebody talking. But there you can see Boone is, you know, kind of an intense kind of guy, but we'll come back to that at a future time. Yeah, so anyway, I would ask you to please keep those men and women that serve our country in your thoughts and prayers. All those that have served and sacrificed parts of their health, parts of their emotions, parts of their bodies to the defense of our nation. You have my utmost gratitude. And as always, I ask for special prayers for the men of the 70 Ranger Regiment, those rough men that stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm. That beautiful rendition of Taps is a public domain recording created by a soldier or employee of the United States Army and as such is not eligible for copyright protection in the United States. Kenny Thomas' song Send Me is used by permission of Kenny Thomas. All other work or recording is original work or used by permission. This has been a presentation of Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran on the Vets on Media Global Network.